All right, welcome back, friends, to another POV. This is the Toyota Corolla Cross in nightshade, and that's the trim, which of course means bright colors because there are nightshade vegetables that are bright colors, and I stand by my statement that nightshade is a stupid name for bright things. Anyway, this is Soul Red Crystal, which I'm wondering if Mazda should sue for that, because that seems pretty close to me, but okay. Okay, I am in the Corolla Cross. I had it running already because it's very cold today, and that brings me to a few of the things that you should know about it right away. This is the middle trim of the hybrid version. You can get it in a non-hybrid version. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the middle trim, which means $34,700. Manual seats. There are no power seats. You have to go up to the upper trim, the XSE, for that. Otherwise, you get no manual seats. You also get, no power seats. You also get no heated seats. So in order to get this car warm, I had to start it earlier, let the tiny little engine get warm to try to warm the cabin because it's a balmy 21 degrees and windy. So I didn't want to start the car cold. I'm sorry about that. But we're going to go now. So of course you can get this cheaper. You can do the non-hybrid version. You can do lower trims, but $34,700 in the modern time is a fairly affordable car, all things considered. This gets you the Corolla package theoretically in SUV shape. We could sit here and debate whether or not an SUV shape is helpful, but yes, you do get a hatch out of the equation, so that's the place that is a benefit. Hear the humming of the eCVT. Woo, that's the good stuff there. We have a 2-liter hybrid engine. This is the 5th generation of Toyota's hybrid, and it's actually, come on, it's well refined. They've been doing hybrid for 25 years at this point. This 5th gen version is very good. The result is this tiny little car, 3,400-pound 2-liter engine, gets you about 42 miles to the gallon, which we can all agree in an actual SUV shape is pretty good. All right, listen. That's key now, is to listen. We're gonna get on the freeway. Let it drive for itself. I'm not going to change gears. I'm not going to do anything but just floor it. Doesn't sound good, does it? Yeah. Well, interesting that I would pull in behind the Subaru here, because the Subaru Crosstrek, let's be honest, why is this called a Corolla Cross? That's the reason right there, because the Subaru Crosstrek exists and has been a wildly good seller for them, so this is Toyota competing in that market. That's exactly what's going on here. If the Corolla sells well in sedan form, wouldn't it be cool if we had an SUV with the same name and then it kinda got into people's awareness with a cross name in it, and that means SUV capability, right? Corolla Cross. You can see the connectivity here also with, I thought Mazda did Soul Red, but apparently this is Soul Red Crystal, which is not worth suing over. So we have this red color, which is also nightshade, which makes me angry because nothing called nightshade should be bright. I know it's a vegetable thing, I get it, I know it's existed long before I did, but I still think it's stupid. So, we've gotten past those little rants. Let's talk about how this handles, which is fine. McPherson struts up front, it's got the multi-link in the rear, double wishbone in the rear, but the reality is that, look, this is fine, okay? There's nothing about this that is grand in the handling department. It's certainly capable. One of the things I am impressed by is that at 3,400 pounds, it feels lighter than that. This feels incredibly light on its feet. It actually accelerates decently, but the key there is this hybrid drivetrain. We've driven this on a couple of occasions, the non-hybrid and the hybrid version, and truthfully, the non-hybrid shouldn't exist. I understand it exists because it's cheaper, but it is terrible. That is not even worth considering. I would never have anybody get the non-hybrid of this. It just simply isn't powerful enough to do the stuff you're going to need to do in life. This with all of the droning, which is frustrating, at least has power to do the stuff you want to do. And you wouldn't believe it if you just went off of the stats, because this has cumulative of 190 horsepower. Now the non-hybrid has about 150, 160 horsepower. This little 2-liter hybrid engine only has about 130 pound-feet of torque, but the electric motor has that much again. Now, it isn't a direct correlation. You can't just add the numbers. The torque of the gasoline motor and the torque of the hybrid number does not equal your number, because they're constantly handing off and trading hands. So as a result, this has enough torque to do anything you need, but it never has an astounding amount of torque. But I am pleased by the fact that in this hybrid form, you get really good gas mileage and you get enough power. This has me thinking about other entry-level SUVs. The big one that strikes me is, we drove it recently, the Buick Envista, which is a 1.2-liter 3-cylinder turbo and a surprisingly good value for money. In fact, I think it is arguably the better car than this. It actually has a little bit more interesting styling. It drives fine. It has enough power, but it isn't a hybrid. So here you get Toyota quality, you get a hybrid, you get, I mean, they're the kings of hybrids. So of course they know what they're doing there. So that helps you. You get the Corolla name. Everything here is very easy to work with. You know, you may not have good feelings about Buick, so that's a discussion there. The other one that comes up is the Kia Niro, which we've also driven in hybrid and non-hybrid form. It is quirkier than this. It has a little bit better gas mileage than this because it does come in a hybrid. Though I think this drives better. I think that is more bland than this is. I know that's kind of a sideways compliment. This is a bland car to drive. There's nothing remarkable about this driving-wise, but there's also nothing bad about it. This is a middle-of-the-road car. And if you're looking for new, you're looking for SUV and somewhat affordable, this is a real contender at under $35,000. Now, do you want powered seats? Do you want heated seats? Because again, this is a cold day today. At that point, you are going to push it up into the higher 30s, but you're not going to push it too much farther. You're still going to get out for under 40 grand in a brand new car with all of the modern tech you want. Now, you do have a full EV mode. I'm actually in normal mode. I haven't even done, hang on, let me do it now. Sport mode, here we go. There's sport mode, which is essentially just throttle response. But here's the key thing. Now I'm in manual mode in my eCVT, which doesn't have gears, but I have paddles. See them? I have paddles right here. That's unnecessary, but I'm going to use them anyway. So I can downshift to the new selected ratio, and I can extract a lot of noise out of this, but I can also extract power in a way that seems to make sense if I like things like gears. My wife said, hey, would you drop something off while you're out driving for the POV? And I said, sure, honey, and I should not have done that. As much as she will appreciate it, it means we're going to listen to stuff flying around in the back of the vehicle the entire time I drive this. And I apologize, but for those of you that are married or in a long-term relationship, you understand these things happen, and here's where we are. Okay, back to shifting. I'm at 3,400 RPM because somebody with a keyboard decided that's what that would be right there. Gonna go up, you can see it drop off. Again, I'm just deciding on shift points here that are pre-established. It has nothing to do with the actual gears. You can hear the drone come back here because it's an eCVT, which is the only way the hybrids come. I want to challenge Toyota to make a hybrid that works with a manual transmission. That's what I want to see. I know the technology must exist. I've only been paired to these CVTs at this point, and I'd like to see a normal transmission. I'd like to see a manual transmission that is still a hybrid. How does that work? Where's that technology? It's 2025. Let's make it happen. It's only been 25 years plus of hybrids. I think it's time. I'm going to go back to normal mode on the transmission and let it settle here and decide for itself. If I'm lucky, something I'm transporting for my wife is now broken. That sounds broken. Okay. Oh, I forgot. I didn't have it in the mode to shift. I'm just so used to wanting to shift this to get something out of it. Obviously, Apple CarPlay, that is wireless. You have a Qi charger down here, so that works as well. Again, this is in the lower level models that don't have power seats. I still have full Apple CarPlay on a decent sized screen. It's not, it would go to the edges if you had the, everything you could get from Toyota. So it's got a little frame in there, so that helps keep the cost down. But Apple CarPlay works really, really well. The connectivity has been almost instantaneous when you turn the car on, which a lot of cars at all price points can't do that, so that's good. Once this engine warms up, here I am at balmy 24 degrees and some blowing snow, it actually has been fine. These seats, which are these seats with this red accent in them, that is something unique to the Nightshade trim. So if you get the Nightshade trim, you get those extra red seats. That's kind of cool. The back seats are small. They're not big. The hatch is actually good sized. I mean, not large, but this is a small compact SUV, and it has a nice, abrupt, very vertical hatch shape. So that's why I have stuff in the back to run errands for my wife. Of course, this comes with the suite of current Toyota safety features. All of those are on here. You've got all kinds of cruise control settings you can use for actually dealing with lane keep assist and these kind of things. I don't like most of those, but they are on here, which is nice. All of the buttons, everything you interact with, I have to say that, feels excellent. It feels above the price point. The reality is you start to look around at things like manual seats, the frame here on the screen, the feel of the shifter when it actually moves around, you start to go, okay, I see how this is a value car. Notice I've got a lot of blank buttons down here. That's always a tell. Back into normal transmission mode, but I remained in sport mode. So again, I want to be clear that this is a contender. Sunroof, there's stuff here that suggests it is above its price point of 34 or 35 grand. But there's also places here where you can see the obvious cost savings. What's nice is this feels solid, it's well built. I know this hybrid system from Toyota is going to run and run well for a long time. We've put a full tank of gas through it, thanks to Toyota for that, and it's just been a perfectly good runabout hauler errand runner, which is why I have stuff for my wife. I will admit, I loathe a CVT. I loathe them. I hate the way that they drone. I hate the way that they rubber band, but that is the reality of these hybrids, so it's not a Toyota problem. And honestly, as CVTs go, this one's fine. It's just drony. So you hear a lot of it. And there's nothing exciting about this drive. You get into something that has this kind of light feel and you expect or hope there's some excitement lurking in it. There's no excitement here, but it is very usable. It does everything you're gonna need. So I think if you're shopping for this kind of thing, this is a real contender. It is worth shopping for. I do think you should cross shop it with the Buick Envista and also the Kia Niro, but come on now. Corolla Cross, I guess while you're at it, you should cross shop it with the Crosstrek. That seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? But yeah, here's where we are. Okay, so I have to show you cargo space while we're here, figure out what's broken in the back. That seems like a good thing. Reminder that this is Nightshade. I'm sorry, something called Nightshade, should be dark. It's Mazda Soul Red on a Toyota, and let's see what's going on in the back. No, it's not as bad as I feared. Okay, that's good. Back seats are tight. You look at that space behind me as the driver, and you're really only little kids are gonna fit back there. So this isn't roomy in that regard, but it is. Look, that's a decent sized hatch for something this size. That's usable. And that all I know is we've ended up with the Corolla Cross. There it is. Thanks for joining me.